Hey gang, today we're going to have a look at how to play the solo to Go Your Own Way from Lindsey Buckingham and Fleetwood Mac from the Rumours album. This song and this solo need little introduction. It's easily one of the most recognizable and well-known guitar solos from one of the most recognizable and well-known rock songs ever recorded. I'm sure that there are lots of tutorials out there already for this solo on YouTube, but one of my subscribers, Shahir, hey Shahir, pointed out that my performance and cover of this one is the closest to correct that he's ever heard, and that a tutorial from me on this one would be appreciated. So here we are. This one is for you, Shahir, and anyone else who wants to learn this great solo. You can find my cover of this one right down there in the description box if you'd like to check it out and use it maybe for reference as we're going along. That said, not going to prattle on too long about this one, but there are a few things that we need to cover before we dig in. First up, we are in standard tuning with this one and working pretty much in the D minor pentatonic scale. We do grab one note outside of the pentatonic a couple of times, and I'll point that out when we get to it. We'll be in the D minor pentatonic in two positions. Here, starting on the 3rd fret of the A, the C, and here at the 10th fret position of the D minor pentatonic. And before we dig into this one, a quick word about tone. There's a heck of a lot of distortion going on here on the lead guitar. Live, Lindsey Buckingham would generally use a Boss DS1, sometimes two in tandem, but the studio version of this solo is certainly a fuzz pedal. I generally use software for my covers, and it's usually Bias FX 2 Pro. With my performance of this one, I used a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier setup with gain on about 5 and volume on about 7. Vintage fuzz pedal on full drive, delay at about 300 milliseconds with about 4 repeats, and a mix at about 40%, and some plate reverb at about 20%. And that's pretty much it for the tone. So let's close in here a little bit and have a look at how to play this one. All right, let's have a look at this one. Before the main outro solo, which is kind of the more famous of the two solos, there's another solo, a shorter solo, before the final chorus. And we're going to have a look at that one before we get to the main outro solo. And it consists of basically 4 licks put together. And it goes something like this. And it's all right here. There's like 5 or 6 notes, right in the D minor pentatonic, except for that note. It's just those 5 notes. And then we're getting down to this B flat down here at the 1st fret of the A string. That's outside the D minor pentatonic, mainly because the chords underneath what he's soloing over, it goes to B flat at that point, and being a good lead guitarist, he knows to highlight that note and play a little bit outside the box. And something all good guitar players know, to follow the chords underneath, know which chords are going on underneath what you're soloing over. So let's have a look at these 4 little licks that make up this part of the solo. I'm going to play the first one. Now when you go down to that B flat at the 1st fret, you could also go up here to the 6th fret of the low E. Same note. But I think it sounds better there for some reason. Now I'm not going to point out every single hammer-on, pull-off, slide. These are little nuances I want you to listen for in my playing as I'm teaching it. To train your ear to pick things out like this. You don't want to pick every one of these notes. It's not going to sound right, and it's not going to sound good, That doesn't sound good. That does. So, but I'm not going to point out every single fret number by fret number, and I'm sliding on this one, and I'm hammering on this one, and I'm pulling off that one. I want you to listen, because this is not a difficult solo, and you know, it's the nuances that you want to catch when you're you know, learning a solo like this. So listen for when I'm hammering on. Hammer on right there. Slide. Pull off. Down to the B flat. So that is the first lick of this solo. And here's the second lick. And that one's all on the D string. This whole solo is all pull-offs, hammer-ons, and slides. And like I said, I want you to listen for them. And here's the third phrase. And here's the final one. Now the final one, hammer on 3 to 5, and pick the last 3 notes, 3, 5, 3 of the D. So just going to run through that whole solo at a bit of a slower pace. And now the final chorus of the song comes in. You can go your own way. And there's a couple of little licks that he throws in here. This one, at the 13th fret of the high E, 16th fret of the B for a double stop, double bend. And at one point he gets up here to the 20th fret of the high E for a full step bend. A little vibrato. Slide out. And then we're into the final solo. So I'm going to play through the first third of the final solo. Takes place all within the same notes that we were already playing in. Hammering on, sliding in, sliding out, and it goes something like this. And that is that. So I'm going to just play through it a couple of times slow, and because it's all within these 5 notes. So it starts with like 4 or 5 hits at this C note here at the 3rd fret. That's the first part. Finishes with 4 or 5 hits there of that G note there at the 5th fret of the D string. So just going to run through that one more time at a bit of a slow speed, and then we'll dig into some of these, some of those bends and double stop bends that we're going to be getting into soon. So one more time through this. And now we're going to grab this 8th fret of the B string, and then we're going to get our index finger down here on 5 of the high E. And you're going to bend, and then grab that 5 of the high E. And then we're going to grab that 8th fret of the B and bend it about 13 times. And the final two, you're going to double time them, kind of like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And now the studio version of this solo is multi-tracked, like 3 or 4 times. He basically played the solo 3 or 4 times the exact same way. And this first part of these bends, it sounds like he's doing double stops. It sounds like this, you know. But he's not. He's just pulling on that one note, and he's recorded it 3 or 4 times, so it gets that effect like you're hearing more than one guitar or more than one string. So if you're playing this on one guitar, as you probably will be, it's probably best to sound closer to the original recording, to get your index down there on 5 and do them as double stop bends. And then we're into this. And then just a little blues lick on the 8th fret of the B, back to 6. Bend at 8, grab the 8th fret of the high E. Release the bend back to the natural note at 8 and release back to 6. And now we're going to move up here and start doing some more double stop bends. And now we're into that. So we're coming out of this. So we've got our ring finger on 12 of the G string, our pinky down here on 13 of the B, and we're going to do 2. The first 2 are going to be kind of in time, and then we're going to pick up the pace, kind of like this. And the final 2 are double timed. So the first 2 are slow, and then you kind of start double timing it, and then the final 2 you double time again. So something like this. And then we're into this. Just right there on the bottom 2 strings of the D minor pentatonic. Now, the final bend there, or the bend just before you finish that lick, you're going 10 to 13 of the B, down to 10 of the high E, back up to 10 of the B string, and then a bend, full step bend of the 13th of the B, and then you're going to grab that 10 of the high E again. And now we're into double stop bends in this position, index on 10 of the high E, bending the 13th fret of the B. Into that lick. And the timing of these double stop bends are kind of like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. You're kind of double timing every third bend, kind of like this. That's it. And that little run at the end of that is basically right up the D minor pentatonic, finishing on 10 of the D. So these bends, one more time. And a very quick bend at 13 of the high E with vibrato. Back down to the natural note. Into that lick. And then we're going to bend that note again. And again, this right up the D minor pentatonic, right up the D minor pentatonic. Double hit. And that double bend there, finish up the solo, pick the first note, and then just bend them without picking them. And pick the final note and slide out. So that final phrase. And right a split second later, he'll do a little pull down the neck like that. And that ends the solo. So I'm going to run through the entire outro solo at a bit of a slower pace, and then we'll be done. So... And that, my friends, is how you play the solo to Go Your Own Way by Lindsey Buckingham. Hope that helped you out. Good luck with it. Have fun with it. And we'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Ciao.